to tell your age?
Oh, hell.
What? Okay. This is Mildred Lillian Council Cameron Berglin on the left, and Hazel Roberta Chamberlain McHugh Sant Billie on the right. And they're old Fairhopers.
We are now, she's on the left.
Well, on the camera's left. Yeah, just hush.
Yes,
Just hush.
Yes, ma'am, yes, ma'am.
And as you can tell, they're full of life. And they're going to talk to us about their early days in Fairhope and tell us when they came. Mildred, when did you come to Fairhope?
Came in August of 1928.
Okay.
From Colorado.
Okay, and Roberta?
We came here from Texas. We came to spend the summer out here in first week in June 1934 to spend the summer, but we haven't left yet.
Okay, pretty long summer. All righty, well, let's see. Where do you want to begin? You want to talk about?
She's written down more stuff. You want to talk.
Talk about that, and you can comment when she brings things up. You comment as you want to.
Are we on camera?
You're on camera.
This list
This is recorded for posterity.
Is about places that we remember in Fairhope. And the first thing on my so-called list was what we call the Kit Kat Club. And it was called the Mobile Yacht Club before that.
And what I remember is a casino.
And it was, well, the Kit Kat Club wasn't the same.
No, I know
Okay,
that.
and it was later called the Corona, but the Elks Club is there now. And you remember the casino. Doesn't everybody?
Everybody remember the casino, yeah.
That was wonderful.
Okay, now didn't you say you had met your first husband at the Kit Kat Club?
And on a dance floor. He was the first coach here in Fairhope, and he taught high school. And I love to dance, still like. And he danced, but he said he couldn't meet me. He said I never sat down. When he met me, I was asked to be introduced on the dance floor at the Kit Kat Club. And then we continued dancing at the casino over the years. It's on. It's not in existence now.
That's right. Does anybody remember what year they tore the casino down? That's one thing I don't know.
So
okay.
I don't, but I hated to see it go.
Oh, I did too. Broke my heart.
It was in the early 70s.
Was it?
Well, I was in Maryland in the 70s.
Maybe late 60s, but I know it was right at that time because they had to condemn the land that was under the casino because it had been leased to the owners of the casino.
Oh.
It was colony land.
And
so the city had to condemn the land and buy the casino from the owners.
Do you remember who the owners were?
It was a doctor from Mobile.
Okay.
Don't recall his name this instant, but it was.
Did that have anything to do with building the pier?
Yes, it was all. I think they had a government grant to do that, and but they had to have more of the land, and then they didn't want the casino there because it had been condemned. And so it was all one big job at that time.
Was that when they put in the concrete?
Yes.
Okay.
Remember the old pier, well, we were talking about the old pier, and the first time I came, probably the first time you came, we took the ferry across the bay and drove up on the pier on those two boards that they had. And I don't know what happened when you came, but my grandmother was sitting in one of those little shady places waiting for us. We didn't expect her to be there, and I presume she had walked down there. But everybody walked in Fairhope then.
And you referred to Fairhope Avenue as a
red ribbon.
Red ribbon.
Because it was clay, and it was
definitely
very,
clay. Yes,
very slick when the weather was rainy, when it was wet.
And your grandmother was who?
Clara Chamberlain. She was, Stewart the picture man was married to her sister. And when her husband died, she came and lived with them. So she was Clara Chamberlain.
They made the most fantastic pictures that were made then.
The only one. He was a photographer.
Say that, but they were just very good.
Yeah, really were. Okay, tell us about your buildings. We were talking
Oh,
about
yeah.
some different buildings.
Well, we mentioned the Colonial Inn, which I think probably everybody mentions, and the old school. Mildred says she went to 7th grade in that old
In that
school.
double building.
Yeah.
It's
That was a
two-story
two-story building.
Two-story
Uh-huh.
building.
Yeah.
A cinder block or concrete
Mhm.
block or
It was a
something.
lovely
On the
building.
corner of Morphy and
And
Church.
Church.
I mean, church, yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I never went to school there. I remember going.
She finished before you came.
Yeah, I had finished high school before I came to Fairhope. But I remember going to something in that school, visit a classroom or something, and thinking what a fire trap it would be with those wooden steps
Uh-huh.
to go from one floor to the other. I don't know why I was aware of that.
This might be interesting for the news. If I finished Fairhope High School, for graduation, there were 12 of us.
Oh, how about that?
Graduated.
Can you tell what year that was?
Yeah, in 31.
31. How about that?
And we thought that
12
was a big
students.
deal, you see. Years
Yeah.
or years.
Yeah. Well, yeah,
At
well.
that time, the number of graduates at the public school and organic school were about the same.
About the same,
About the
yeah.
same, I be darned.
Which is no longer true.
Yeah, no.
But it's one of those things that,
That's interesting because I thought she graduated the year I came, but I was mistaken. Because that's when I went to that dance and met everybody. But of course, if there was a dance, everybody went.
yeah, whether we finished high school or not.
Yeah, I finished high school.
No,
I
my
got to go.
folks loved the South, came south to retire. And, you don't want to hear all the details, I don't think. My grandmother,
Did they come to Fairhope?
no, they came to just to Mobile, they came to Daphne.
I see.
And we came to Mobile and visited with them, and then came to Daphne, we didn't know about Fairhope.
Mm-hmm.
And we liked Daphne, but not that much, and then we found Fairhope and we liked it.
Mm-hmm.
Did your mother ever like it? I thought you said she never liked living in the South.
And she did. So that's
But she did for a long time.
But she's
Yeah.
buried in the Cotton Cemetery. But Daddy liked it, and, well, the summer we moved here to see about Fairhope, my husband and I, no, my mother and I, Daddy, we didn't know that everybody from Mobile came over for the summer.
Mm-hmm.
We'd rent a house, and they say, oh, but you can't have it next month, it's taken. We moved 3 times.
Oh, my
And finally
goodness.
found a house on Gaston Avenue and bought it and lived in it.
And it's
Uh-huh.
still there.
And it's still there.
How
It's a nice
about
house and
It
it's
was a
still
very
there.
nice house.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But we didn't plan to move every time, and we couldn't understand it
Every
why,
month.
you see.
Well, we mentioned the Colonial Inn, which I'm sure everybody else has mentioned, because it's been a real Fairhope fixture.
Right.
And we're all very fond of the Pine Watch shop.
What do you remember about the Colonial Inn particularly? You go to parties there, or?
They had such a,
Fantastic
place.
dining room.
well, and such an elegant place, even after the dining room closed, where it was the fanciest place in town to have receptions and
Yeah.
things like that. And the dining room was still open when we came, and it was very nice.
Mm-hmm.
But I've had more to do with it in the, what do you call it, the main hall, the lounge, whatever, where they had the big fireplace, and that
Yeah.
used to be a gathering place.
Really was a beautiful room.
It was a beautiful old building.
I'm just sorry they couldn't somehow reproduce at least that part.
Well, don't you think? It may have cost a lot, of course, the building was old.
Oh, it
I
would,
think
it would have, yeah.
I think
It
they all
cost too
felt
much
that
to
it cost
refurnish,
more than they
yeah.
could.
That's what we told her.
You know, you still don't worry about what you're supposed to be
Okay.
doing. Just do what you do.
But
Oh,
I certainly liked
and the
it.
pine quiet shop, we all love that
Yeah,
too.
I just hate to see that go. That was so typical of Fairhope.
Yeah.
I went to classes there to try to do those artistic things, and then I went to the organic school to do their dancing, anything that was dance, and then to take their arts and crafts.
Uh-huh.
The organic school was outstanding in all their activities. And the people here in Fairhope were all just
Yeah.
so very nice.
And the colonial, the
Pine
hall, Cummings
Oh.
Hall, was such a good place
Yeah.
to,
It was a
They have all
lifesaver
kinds
for
of things.
years.
yeah, they could put on plays, and you
Mhm.
could hear clear at the back of the room,
Uh-huh.
and that's unusual.
And
And
basketball games and dances, always
Yeah.
dances,
Yeah.
always dances.
folk dances and ballroom dances
Ballroom.
and
Well, those dances, that's probably when you were gone that they really were so strong on the basketball game and a dance afterwards.
Well,
And I
was on
remember
2
at
years,
first we
I
never
don't know.
wanted, you always hated to be the first couple on the floor. And then later, Worth and I got where we just wanted to get out there and dance, and we'd go ahead and be the first couple, we didn't care.
Then we square danced there.
Yeah.
They've done
For a few
everything.
years.
No, when you were growing up, that casino was just the thing for young people to go and to all the activities and the dance especially.
But there were 3 places, really big halls.
Definitely.
There was Cummings Hall, there was a casino, and then there was Burkell's.
Mm-hmm.
And
It's
they had
amazing.
some smaller dances at the country club.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's right,
Clubhouse,
that's
we were
right,
talking
That's
yeah.
where we danced during
Yeah.
the war, you see.
And now we have nothing really.
Well,
Right.
I
The
thought-
Armory. The Armory's the only place I know of.
Well, how about the City Hall, the
Civic
The
Center.
Civic Center, that's
Center.
right, that's right, we do
I
have
understand
those
they
too.
have dances there down there.
Yeah.
That's where I've been to since I've been up here.
Sure, that's-
I've done it.
The acoustics are so bad there.
That's what I've heard.
Well, they play so loud you can't
It doesn't
Can't
matter.
think,
You can't talk anyway. I don't know what acoustics are in a case like that.
Yeah.
We mentioned the Christian church on the, I imagine that's why it was called Church Street, don't you? But
Could have
Christian
been.
Street, Christian
All
church.
the young people went to it in the young people's work.
Well, it was the first
And I
church
was a
in
Methodist.
Fairhope, wasn't it?
I imagine it's on the corner of Church and St. James.
Mhm.
It was a
And now
congregation.
it's
On
a
the southwest corner.
special school for special students
Mhm.
there. But I always imagine that's why they named it. Of course, there also the Christian Science Church was on the side,
That is
the
a
side
lovely
of it.
building.
But I think it was named Church Street for the Christian church. I imagine it was there long
It,
before.
it was the very first church that was here, and it was built very early in the.
I always figured it
Our
probably
high
was.
school activities had something to do in the Christian church building, because we just didn't have they didn't have the money for all the activities, and the church had it, you see. Not the money, but the building.
Mhm.
Well, they had a new high school building, but it was already crowded.
Mm-hmm.
Well, at that
Okay.
time, it was first grade through 12th.
It was
wasn't
elementary.
That's right.
I think you
It is
started
now,
first.
isn't it?
Well, now
No.
it's kindergarten, I think kindergarten and first, isn't it?
That's right.
But back then, it was, of course, nowhere near as big as it is now, but it was first through
I imagine they've added on
high
to it,
school.
yeah.
Oh, gosh, yeah. It's 2 or 3 times as big as it was then, and it's still just
I can't, yeah, it's
kindergarten.
hard to believe that it's just kindergarten and first grade in that great big
Well, it's
building.
probably-
They consolidated the schools in about 1926 or 27 when they built the high school building. The
Which
brick,
high school?
the brick building. That
But when
Oh.
I came here in the 28, I don't know whether the high school, of course, I was in elementary school anyway,
yeah,
but I don't think they had, it wasn't soon after that. when you
yeah.
were talking
It was
about they
it
built
was
the high
in
school.
27 or 28,
Uh-huh.
26, 27.
Of course, I wasn't in
28,
that
something
then.
like that.
You're talking about the one that is now the kindergarten.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm. And the cement block one was built in 1909.
Oh, wasn't it?
And
And
those-
that was
that's
when
Church
they,
Street.
when
But you don't remember.
the I know this from history. I spent 8 years in the office with Corny Gaston, and he was a good historian.
Yeah, he really
He sure was
wasn't he?
smart.
I'm thinking about Corny and Uncle Art Marchand. I don't know that they had anything to do with each other, but they were both,
Well, he was the kin.
yeah.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Well, we talked a while ago about the Bank of Fairhope, and Mildred and I both remembered it as a building with the white columns.
Yeah.
And Ruth remembered one before that.
That's all, the first that I remember was the white columns, right there by the drugstore.
Mhm.
And
It was,
Superior
and yeah, I think
office.
you said earlier that it was the most impressive building in town
Yeah,
at that
It
time.
was, it was, definitely.
well, and the post office, what was in the post office was a nice building too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That, as I understand it, the post office started on Section, and they moved to that one
Oh,
that is
yeah,
now the
Courier.
courier office.
Mhm.
Then they moved to another one on Section, and now we're out farther east
It's
on
new one,
Fairhope
I
Avenue.
got to see it from the car, I don't know if I.
You haven't been in?
I haven't been in.
Oh.
I don't run in. I'd like to, I'd like to.
Well, you don't have any reason to go in it, I guess, after all. You have to buy stamps or.
No, I can get my stamps here.
Yeah.
But to think about over the years that this is being recorded, it's interesting of living in Fairhope when, of course, nobody had any pavement or sidewalks.
Yeah.
Now those were
And
added.
now from the beach up, we have sidewalks, you know, all the way up
That's
to
right.
town.
And talking about sidewalk, we were mentioning that everybody walked. Now it seems like when a kid's 16, what, somebody must give them a new car. But that was not true.
No, dear.
That hasn't gone on forever, has it?
And I have commented several times that I don't remember any young people who were fat when I first came to Fairhope. And
I guess I don't either.
no,
Maybe we didn't
they
have
had
enough to
some
eat.
beautiful bodies. Remember Bunny
Mm-hmm.
and
Esther, you mean Esther, no? Oh, I'm thinking about
I'm
Esther.
thinking of Bunny Young.
Oh.
Of course, she's been dead for years,
Mhm.
but what they did for recreation, walk down to the bay
Activity.
and spend the day swimming or lolling around and walk home. And if you went to a dance, a lot of the time, I don't mean forever, but when I first came, we mostly walked to the dance all evening, and walk back again. You just don't get fat
That's
doing
right.
that.
We lived about 4 miles, well, it's almost 5 miles to the bay, and on Sunday afternoon, we'd walk to the bay and back. And
Well, we never thought
go
anything
swimming
about
and,
it.
you know,
Yeah.
and everything.
Of course, time has changed, and that was back in
And
the
I can remember when
30s and 20s and 30s.
when they came around and weighed and measured us at school, and they sent a note home and told my mother that I was underweight.
Oh. Where did you go to school?
Well,
Oh,
that was the
yeah.
one year that I went to the public school.
Oh.
I went to the Friends School
Oh,
Oh,
I thought
out
so.
on Fairhope Avenue
Mhm.
for the rest of the time up until I was
Went to
ready to go into the 11th grade. Then I went away to boarding school, Friends
Mhm.
boarding school. So I was gone 2 years. That's why I said I was away.
I didn't realize. I thought you were gone longer than that.
Well, then when Lucille went back to college while we moved up to Tuscaloosa,
Oh.
and we barely moved back and then moved to Schenectady where I went to work.
Now, I mean, I thought you were gone longer to school.
No, just 2 years.
Didn't really think a lot about it.
2 years was a long time when we were 17,
Yeah,
18,
that's true.
19.
It's a big portion of your life. One of the things, talking about places that I remember is the bulletin board outside the courier office. Because people took advantage of that. The chalk was there and you could go
When you could write anything.
write what you wanted to sell or when you wanted to meet somebody. It was,
Of course, it was Fairhope was smaller then.
Uh-huh. Did you notice that they put one up in Delchamps?
No,
They got one up there.
is that right?
Sure did, right on the west door where the baskets are. Right over
Uh-huh.
where the
Really?
baskets are. I noticed that the other day and I thought, oh, this is so
Way back,
Fairhope.
That little sort of what you call a kiosk outside the Chamber of Commerce is sort of that intention, but it doesn't work the same.
Mhm.
The one at Delchamps sounds like it would.
Yeah.
People that trade at Delchamps.
Yeah.
Mentioning Burkell's, nobody's mentioned the fire. Were you here when it burned?
I was.
You were.
Right.
That was.
It must
That
have
was
been
really.
It was
Was
awful.
anybody killed?
Yeah, there was,
His wife was killed.
they found
Mildred.
her body later.
Yeah.
I think
Where was that? Where was
Burkell's.
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 right here?
Uh-huh. And I think at first they didn't know whether anybody was in there or not, but afterwards, I don't know where
Was the fire ignited or what?
What happened?
Yeah.
They were cleaning some skates with gasoline, and they had a heater in there somehow, and I forget now. Somebody,
What
I
was that
think
in?
Billy Payne talked about that, didn't he?
When
somebody
it wasn't
talked
at night
about it.
when people were there, I mean.
No,
No,
it was not
answer.
open at the time. But they had, yeah, wait for Mildred. Are back.
Oh, they return again. One of the things I remember was Cummings Hall and the school home. Of course, the organic school, the whole
Was the
place
thing.
was the thing, but the school home was kind of interesting too.
Didn't you take class with the teacher's class?
Teacher training. I think that was her last class.
Because Lucille
And-
took it too.
And my cousin had wanted to take it before, and she said she was too young. And she was 17, but she had graduated from public school. So she went back and graduated from organic, and then she never took teacher training. But when I came along, I was the same age, and Miss Johnson said she felt like she'd made a mistake not letting Dorothy take it. So she let me come in teacher training class.
Uh-huh.
But I was
Oh,
starting,
my.
I was starting to teach dancing in my classes. You know, I got where I didn't have time to go. But Lucille and I don't remember who else was in the class. It was like maybe 5 of us, something like that. But I'm glad I got in that little bit.
Yeah.
The organic school at Fairhope was fantastic.
Well, tell us, since you mentioned your dancing, tell us when you started teaching and when you opened your studio on Fells Avenue, or when maybe you had it somewhere else first.
No, huh?
No?
Didn't you start on Fairhope?
Don't look at
No,
me.
when you had
I
it
taught-
over at St. James.
Yeah, when we first came to Fairhope, my uncle was all in favor of my getting busy and starting to teach dancing, and that brings up 2 names of early Fairhope, Mr. Turnipseed and Mr. Grassfield. You always hear about
Oh,
those 2.
yeah.
But anyway, the little Turnipseed girls and Patsy Bishop and Ann Moyers were some of the first ones, and Maxine, she's Maxine Fredericks now. And
She's a DAR or not?
Yeah.
DAR, yeah.
Anyway, different ones like that. I think Raymond would.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, just a little pickup thing. But I taught one year I taught in the tea tile, which is now a lot of things on the corner of Church and Fairhope Avenue.
Nobody's mentioned the tea tile.
That's right.
And
It had a fireplace in facing Fairhope Avenue. It
Great
started out
fire.
as a tea room, didn't it?
yes.
And people were nice about I think that was my first year, and I taught one summer up in the casino, and I taught,
See,
I went over, we lived across the street at one time from that country club house, and I went over there and practiced a lot that summer in that country club. And then I got permission from St. James Church, where Chester was one of I think on the vestry, one of the ones, and they gave me permission to use their parish hall, which was very gracious, especially because it was about to collapse, I think. But anyway, I taught there, and then we bought the place on Fells Avenue and was there for the rest of the time.
Mm-hmm.
And then I taught until 1964, and then turned it over to Doc Parrish.
Now, yeah, and what year did you start?
Well, I started, I think, in the
Teaching.
summer of 34. I had 3 or 4
34 to
pupils.
64.
Emily Turnipseed, I don't know what the other little girl's name was.
So
Yeah.
34 to 64 is what you...
Well, yeah, there was time out, see, when I was married and living in North Carolina.
Oh, okay.
But roughly 34 to 64.
So did somebody run it while you were gone? You just closed?
Yeah,
and
it wasn't really really wasn't a studio. I just
weren't teaching?
Well, that's right. In fact, I taught officially even while I was expecting my first child. I had 3 of my older pupils, and I remember I would lean on the windowsill and work my feet to figure out tap steps.
Oh, that's cute.
'Cause
It probably did you good, actually.
But they handled it then. But I wasn't teaching a lot at that time. Just, and then I came back while Worth was on the movers, and I had just a few. I had about 5 or 6 students. Well, maybe a little bit more than that. And then when he was killed, my mother and I talked it over. One of us worked, wanted to stay at home, so I was home at the studio, and she was working in Mobile.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, I did the studio full time, and she ran the house. And that's why I can't cook.
That's why you cook. You cook mighty good.
Thank
I
you.
found that often mothers and daughters don't do well cooking together.
We could do all right together. It's just I didn't do anything. In fact, after my son was grown, my mother said something about my cooking, and he said, "She can't cook." Carol Ann just, a few years ago, said she came in, it looked so funny to see Mother in the kitchen.
Oh.
Well, you never had time to
I
be in
never
the
did.
kitchen with her activities and dancing, you know.
No, I guess not. Okay, so what else do you have on your list?
On my list?
On your list?
We talked about Beiser and Young a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
When we first came, now, it was still active when you came, wasn't it? It was,
Very
it was,
active. One of the biggest grocery stores in
Yeah.
Fairhope.
Mhm.
2-story.
and that was where, I think the Uptown is now. Isn't that what's in that? Was McKean Hardware for a
McKean
long time.
Hardware. And
Oh,
what is
yeah.
in there now, I don't know.
That's
But,
what it is.
It's on the corner of Fairhope and Section, on the
Right.
north, on the southeast corner.
and of course, that original building is long gone.
It was a wooden building, but it's
Yeah.
still long gone.
But it's
And
in
it
a
had
lot of the pictures.
steps in front of it.
Yeah. It's in a lot of the pictures that Stewart the Picture Man took.
Mhm.
I want to be sure I mention Stewart the Picture Man because he was my great uncle.
Mhm.
And a lot of the pictures you see, he may not have taken all of them, but a lot of them, I think his name has gradually, where he signed in the corner, I think that's gradually been cropped off of a lot of them.
Yeah.
Well, they
And-
shouldn't be.
But a lot of them, you can
It's-
still
it's-
see, you can still see Stewart the Picture Man.
I have one.
Have you?
Of the Bay Hill,
Uh-huh.
that he took.
And Stewart the Hermit. They were right at the same time. They were both very gentlemanly. They were both white-haired, both very intelligent
Certainly,
men.
the Hermit was a very charming man,
Yeah.
very outstanding.
Were they related?
What?
Were they related?
No, they were no relation at all. Stewart the Hermit used to walk up the hill to Montrose, I guess it
Barefoot.
was, and everybody was impressed because he walked barefoot, I guess summer and winter, didn't he?
I never saw him with a pair of shoes on.
Hmm.
Must have had tough feet though.
And he did weaving. He had
That's
a
right.
lot of
He
woven
did.
things. And in one of the picture books that they put out this year, they had Mr. Weaver under.
Yes,
Oh, my. It's
Yeah.
really Mr. Stewart who did weaving.
Mr. Stewart, like it should be.
Oh, my.
I wish I could tell you, I never lived here a whole lot. I mean,
Mhm.
it's
When
not
did you
like-
move away?
Well, officially, when I married, the first time I left.
What
The
year
only
was
time
that?
That was in '36.
Okay.
Came back during the war, of course, he was overseas, you see,
Mhm.
for 4.5 years. And I moved 3 times, rented houses, and they were sold.
Oh, my.
And ended up on Short Street next to the hotel, what's it called? Company, the hotel down there.
Colonial Inn.
Colonial Inn. And he stayed a while, but he was retired.
Mhm.
And then we moved to Montgomery. And I lived there 14 years, you see.
I see. And when did you move back to Fairhope?
When Marvin Berglin came up there, and we married up there in Maryland, in Hagerstown, Maryland.
Uh-huh. And what year was that?
That was in, oh my goodness, let's see, 71.
Okay.
And he was killed in 77, see.
Mhm. That's right. He was killed on a passenger airliner
From Atlanta, yeah.
from Atlanta, which we couldn't believe. We were living in North Carolina at the time and could not believe that.
Left at
Just couldn't
perfect
believe
health.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
We've been in New Orleans at the Power Aquarium thing for the weekend. He came home on a Sunday evening and left that evening and was there in Atlanta one day and came back and was killed next day.
And didn't he take an earlier flight because he's anxious to get home?
Oh, dear.
But it's one of those deals, you can't count on that.
No, nobody ever gets on an airplane or any transportation and thinks it's gonna
But
crash.
you can't dodge everything.
That's
No.
true.
I mean,
Certainly
it's just
can.
one of those deals.
You can get out on the highway.
And you can, yes, dear.
That's right.
With these tragedies now, they are unbelievable, the number that are killed.
That's right.
There was only 62 that Marvin was killed. That's
Oh.
enough. 62
How
people.
many?
Yeah.
I mean,
62 people.
On the plane,
62?
Mhm.
but they weren't all killed.
No, but 62 were killed. There were more
Oh,
on the
really?
plane, yeah.
Oh.
But
That was
Okay,
due
what-
to
what-
the weather, wasn't
it was horrible. They said hail was about the size of golf balls.
Oh,
That's
really?
what my lawyer said because Becky, Marvin's daughter, and the lawyer wanted to sue because Marvin was in good health and was an added thing to the civilization. And No, the hail had broken up the glass and the pilots. They had no glass left, and they were flying, and of course they were killed immediately.
Mm-mm.
But they went down into Fairhope, a little town, hoping to get out of the rain. They killed 7 people going down. They didn't mean to, and that's where the crash was.
Good gracious.
But I've learned you can't question this. That's fate.
That's right.
Mhm.
It's not a thing we can do about those things.
Well, speaking about Marvin, he was Fairhope Creamery for many, many years, wasn't he?
That's right.
And that was a gathering place or a popular stop.
It sure was with me, I know that.
Made the best ice cream.
Yeah.
They made,
Ever made.
he sold out the chocolate recipe to the Holiday Inn.
Is
They
that
made
right?
a nice fortune for it, but it was good ice cream.
Yeah. I
He
know.
made money, but he made it honestly.
Mm-hmm.
But he would,
And that was about where Jordan's is now?
It's on the corner.
on the corner, and then the
Yeah,
whole corner
where
was a
the,
parking
park-
lot.
parking
Northwest
area is
corner
now.
of Fairhope and
Bancroft.
What's the name?
Bancroft.
Bancroft, yeah.
And then Phil Brady had a little store in between
Oh,
there.
Yeah.
I remember, and then it was Dale's restaurant.
See,
Yeah.
I missed so much of that, but,
Oh, it was Dale's before it was Jewin's, wasn't
oh,
it?
yeah.
Yeah.
oh,
Forgot about that.
And for years, we had the Central Cafe down where the Yucatan is now.
Mhm.
That's where was that where the Tea Towel used to be?
No, it's across
No,
the
the
street.
tea
Across
towel
the
was right
street,
on the
okay.
corner of
Uh-huh.
Church
It
and
was
Fairhope.
It was a part of the theater building.
I see, okay.
What was?
The
The
Tea Towel?
Tea towel.
Oh, yeah.
That was all one building.
Yeah.
That was before my time.
I was gonna say that, I know it was, because that when we had a show here, there.
Bob's.
The Beach Walk-In Theater, that was later.
Oh, yes, I remember that.
We had the was it called Fairhope Theater? That was the name of it,
Mhm.
wasn't it? When Fuller's
Yeah.
had
Mhm.
the one downtown, and then we had the Beach Walk-In for a long time. That was
And I
fun.
wasn't here.
A lot of fun.
I used to worry people would sit there smoking and throw their cigarettes down. Children would run up and down barefooted, and I never did hear of a child stepping on a burning cigarette. There was Moyer's Drugstore was quite a central place. That's where I met Sam. my second
That was on the
husband.
southwest corner of Summit and Fairhope.
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh. It was, yeah, and it's now Fairhope
Floor covering.
Uh-huh. And of course, all the pictures show Fairhope Pharmacy as well. What, the oldest building in town, isn't
Well, it's
In
not
it?
the oldest
it?
building
The
because
only
they,
oldest business maybe.
No Price Furniture would be older than,
No, Price wasn't older during.
you mean, well,
You mean the building
Okay.
itself?
Price
But not
Furniture
the
well,
was
the
owned
Price
from-
Furniture has been owned by the same family
Yeah.
Yeah.
longer than, I think,
Yeah.
almost any other
Yeah,
business
I
in
think so,
town.
too.
Well,
My
maybe
husband
that's
sang
a-
at their wedding.
Is that right?
But that
And
was
they
the
were just
saying I
Mershon
would
brothers.
And sang, no.
That was the Mershon brothers that had the pharmacy first.
They
And it was
started
very
it, and then
early.
Dr. Mason, was he second?
Yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
and then he.
And then Sam and Ford Patterson bought it from
Mhm.
Dr. Mason, and I don't remember, there's somebody else between them and Barney Hill, I believe. I don't remember who else, but I
His
think.
Skinner was a doctor. He had an office upstairs, didn't he?
Yeah, but he,
Yeah,
I don't
sure
think
did.
he ever had the.
One of his daughters was the same age as me, finished high school. And then,
Oh, Rathje's store.
Spell that for us.
I thought it was spelled R-A-T-H-J-E apostrophe S.
where?
Okay.
Huh? Where Brenny's now is.
I don't
Rathje's
know where
store.
Brittany's is. See, I
Well,
don't
it
get
was,
to up down the
it was,
street. I don't mean
part of the
anything.
time it was a Riviera Utilities
Oh,
later
yeah.
on. But you used to have to go up a couple of steps, and it was sort of a little variety store run by, I always think of them as a foreign couple. I don't really know where
They
they
were-
came from. I didn't know them
They
very well.
spoke
They were,
broken English.
yeah, they were very different from everybody else in Fairhope. And but it was a quaint store.
They lived
They sold different types of things, just lots of different things.
If you wanted it, you could find it there. Maybe.
Uh-huh.
I think,
Yeah,
yeah.
I don't remember it.
I don't remember going in there very much. It was kind of peculiar, but it was certainly unique.
It's Fairhope.
And the little store down on Black Creek, and You folks all remember the little bridge across Fly Creek. Couldn't do that now.
I do, but I don't think,
I don't, but
I
she
know
does.
you
don't,
yeah.
Ruth and you all do, and
Yeah.
Chester does too, don't you, Chester?
Yeah, I think I do.
It
It's very
was a lot
narrow.
there was a narrow spot there, and now they've gradually made it so wide. But anyway, the little store when I came was closed, but Worth used to talk about getting in out of the rain when they went on Boy Scout trips and things like that there. And when they started the Fairhope Yacht Club, they used that little store was the original room. I think the last I know it was, they had a balls, what's the name?
Pool
The
table?
Pool table.
Billiards?
Billiard. That's all right.
Yeah. I don't know whether
We know
that's
what you
still-
meant.
She knows what she meant.
But anyway, they started the yacht club in there, and then they gradually kept adding on, building rooms around to each side and back and forth and up and down. No,
We
not
used to
up and
walk
down.
from Fairhope up to the yacht club before there was a yacht club. Because that was a scenic place to go to Fly Creek.
We used to
Yeah.
have school picnics there sometimes.
It was
And,
just great.
and Fly Creek had the most beautiful sand bottom all the way.
Yeah.
And
Clear, it was just as clean and
Yeah.
clear.
And of course, it was very shallow then. And
It
of course,
got kind of deep right
well,
after
in
the
spots, I guess it
Yeah.
was shallow some
Oh,
spots.
the Devil's Hole. No, it's a very unusual town. Cross-section of people and interested still, it's unbelievable.
Sure is. Do you have anything else?
That's all on my places list.
That's all on your list?
Thanks.
Oh, your places, well, go to your people.
You wanna go to people or
Sure.
activities? Well, I don't know, people, but the two Mr. Stewarts were part of the people list,
Mhm.
and Miss Call and her daughter. And I found out about her mother being Ann Bancroft Hall, was that what she said, or Anna?
Yeah.
Anna.
Really?
And then a lot of different families, the Beiser family, the Dyson family, the Rockles and the Gastons.
Well, tell us what you remember about these people, or.
Well, and I also had the Sants and Sheldons, because of course I married Sam's son, but they lived here a long time, and
They lived in back of me when I lived on Bells
Mhm.
Avenue.
they lived on Liberty, and then later, one of the Sant boys' wife had a little play school, Samuel's house they called it, and Mildred Sant was quite a good artist.
She certainly wasn't.
Especially in portraits. And then she married Ed Sheldon, that's why I say the Sants and Sheldons. And Ed Sheldon, I think the people first knew him here, I don't know what you call it, not a circuit rider, but anyway, he used to apparently go to different farms and help people dip cattle or see that they did it or something. Do you know about that, Ruth?
I remember people talking about
And
Mr.
they-
Sheldon, my parents talking about Mr. Sheldon, but I don't know, just, I was pretty small then, I guess.
It had something to do with dipping cattle.
It probably
And then
did.
eventually he wound up being a regular artist as a brick mason. He could do.
Yeah.
An
Yeah.
architect, yeah, he was just,
And he was sort of a cousin to Craig Sheldon. Of course, everybody knows Craig Sheldon and what a genius he is. So that was one family. And of course, I mentioned Grassfield and Turnip Seed. They used to always tell about when Mr. Grassfield and Mr. Turnip Seed were introduced. And I don't know whether it really happened or whether it was just a story that everybody told. That, well, each one thought the other one was pulling his leg. He said, "I'm Mr. Grassfield." And the other said, "Oh, I'm Mr. Turnip Seed."
Oh, that's cute.
Whether that's true or not, but it made a good story.
I can't place a turnip seed for the grass.
Well, they've
because
been
I knew
gone.
they'd get so long.
Yeah, Grassfields were here much longer than the Turnip
Yeah,
Seed.
yeah.
And we had a blacksmith named Nick Ludwig.
Yeah.
Now that name, yeah.
He was a good one too.
Yeah, he was good.
Sure.
That was on Fairhope Avenue, right? Or
Bancroft Street,
Bancroft,
I guess it was
okay.
on Bancroft.
Yeah, I don't.
just around the corner from Fairhope,
Okay.
across from the creamery.
And, Oh, Mr. Funk. I can't remember which Mr. Funk, but he was the night watchman. And when all the boys would be going home from seeing their girlfriends, why he knew everybody. He wasn't a gossip, I don't mean that, but everybody saw Mr. Funk on their way home and
He knew what was going on.
He kept my eye on everybody.
Yeah,
Which Mr. Funk was that? It was Bill's brother,
Bill,
I think, wasn't it? Do
It
you
was
know?
his father, wasn't it?
I was thinking it
He
was
was
his
the
father.
old man.
I believe it was
Oh,
the
maybe
old,
so,
the
maybe
old one,
so.
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay.
And, yeah.
But he was definitely a part of Fairhope early in the early days.
Jack, Arnold was policeman too, but before that, there was, Jack Titus.
Oh, yes.
Oh, my goodness, yeah, and he was a sheriff.
Yeah.
Well,
He was the chief of police.
Yeah.
Chief of police, okay.
And Big Will Kennedy was his
Mhm.
helper.
Yeah.
Jack took care of everything in the white part of town, and Big Will Kennedy could handle the rest of it.
And Jack, never the twain should meet too.
What's that?
Jack saw to it that never the twain should meet.
Oh, yeah.
Various separate sections of town. I don't think of Fairhope as having a other side of the tracks and all, but yet we
We
did
didn't
have a little
say
bit.
that, we didn't say it.
It wasn't that, but the.
But it was.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
and they really, tried to keep them at home at night, especially on Saturday nights.
Well, they had a time when they had to be out of downtown at night.
Yeah. Nobody, I don't remember ever saying that, but you never did see anybody.
It was understood that,
Yeah.
what,
What, right?
7 or 8 or something, yeah,
That's true.
that they weren't supposed to be in.
And then also, Mrs. Johnson had a curfew for all
Oh,
Yankee
yes.
kids.
Mrs. Johnson had a lot of rules that were strange. I never dreamt of until I got to Fairhope.
She was a fantastic
She
person.
was, yeah. Yeah, they're supposed to be in by 8, wasn't that it?
I believe so.
Ooh, that is early.
And in bed by 9.
Wow.
They didn't have TV then.
There was only one other thing to do, so you better come home and go to bed.
I remember having, they had the tourist club there where the laundry is now, and they asked me if I'd have some of my children dance for one of their programs. I thought, sure, that sounded fine to me. And I think the one girl was 14, and she danced, yeah, but boy, she was hoping Miss Johnson didn't come, and the program didn't start till 8 or something like that, you know, and
Oh.
she was invited to dance and she was going to be there, but she felt real guilty about, you know, kind of sneaky that she did dance on the program. And she
Because she
funny.
was violating the curfew?
Because, it was violating the curfew. And I didn't realize I was stepping on any curfew toes. And, of course, I was still in my teens.
You were young too,
Yeah. And I remember she was concerned about stage fright. This is the same girl that had 6 cents to spend at the soda garden. And she said, I'm not going to worry about it. She says, I'm going to just say, just a row of cabbage heads. They're just a row of cabbage heads. She wasn't going to get stage fright performing for her.
There you go.
I think my first impression of coming south of Fairhope was the curfew, that was here. Wasn't anything wrong with it. It just, they did it. I mean, they didn't go over the time. We just never saw any.
Talking about blacks that could not,
Downtown,
weren't supposed to be downtown in Fairhope.
At-
That's interesting. I hadn't
At
heard
one
that.
time, there was
And they-
an active Ku Klux Klan.
Oh, really? I didn't know.
I
that.
understand Fairhope's best was involved.
My father was one. My mother nearly killed him. We came
Mm.
south and he went, yeah. So then he soon got out, but that's all right.
I didn't realize it.
And I had never seen a black. And came south on a train in the dining room. And one came in and I started my big mouth and my mother clamped me up and I said, what's wrong with him? I was raised with Indians. Went to school with them, they were great.
Mhm.
So when you live different places, it's just different.
That's
No
right.
two ways about it.
That's right.
I didn't see black people when I was
I had never seen
in
one.
Chicago. I'm born in Chicago and lived in Oklahoma and then Texas. And of course, they have black people in Texas, but I don't mean I never saw one, but I think I must have been 4 or 5 before I ever saw my very first blackbirds. Of course, now Chicago is well supplied.
That takes care of time if things are just different.
Yeah, like when we were taking the tape the other day, this black family that was about, when the children, they had 8 children?
I think so,
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
And as they got grown, each one would, when they got grown and through school, they had to go away because there wasn't anything for them to do here. And
there wasn't anything for.
And so they went to Chicago, and
Yeah.
each one would help the next one, and that's why the one that was with their aunt there happened to grow up in Chicago because her parents had come from here. And
Well, actually, there was nothing much for anyone to do in Fairhope unless you were going to own a store or something like that. Farm. There's not much industry in Fairhope. We want to keep it that way, don't we?
And we don't want it either, do we?
I feel very selfish sometimes about that, but I'd be very picky and choosy about what industry I brought into Fairhope. If I had to
A
say.
few industries we had were like Emperor Clock.
Poser printing was not industry, I guess. Or
there's
I
some
guess.
things out there for.
yeah, that's right now.
Hoover Group, I think, is closing out. Roar Industries,
Yeah,
they're not,
I think they're trying to get something else in there.
where the Hoover Group.
Out at the airport, I don't know
We
exactly.
added to the Fairhope Airport.
They got some money.
They're going to enlarge it, yeah, I read that in the paper.
Mhm.
Do we have anything else?
One other thing, we talked about sailing, I think before a while ago.
Oh, yeah.
And a lot of people had sailboats. They did not have auxiliary motors. If you happened to be out and the wind died down, you were out and the wind died
You were
down.
stuck.
Yeah, right. But I remember when I first came to Fairhope, the sailboats all had centerboards instead of keel. It was centerboards. And when they wanted to fool the newcomers, somebody say, "Oh, well, what can I do to help?" And somebody'd say, "Oh, well, here, see if you can fill this up," and starts people trying to fill up that centerboard hole with water, scooping it out. Of course, you never get it full. It just didn't
That
work.
reminds me of my sailing activities when I was real young and there was no engines on the sails. And the wind went. What was that? My mother had the Coast Guard out looking for me.
Uh-oh.
And of course we had no more motors on it, then you see.
You hit a calm, you're stuck.
But we were, didn't kill us, but then Marvin, of course, had sold sailboats. He had a franchise from New Orleans almost.
Who did?
Marvin.
Oh,
He
yeah.
had the whole company on sailboats. That before I married him. And then, no, when you don't have a motor on a sailboat, you don't get it when there's no air.
It's
No wind.
different.
That's how we equipped now.
Yeah.
No, times and years change, dear, as you
That's
know
right.
of what is done and what isn't done. But I've always loved Fairhope. I never have lived here a long time. I didn't have any children here, but I married here.
It's a great place to live.
It's a great place.
I felt at home when I was always happy where I was before, but when we came to Fairhope, you just sort of felt like, oh.
There's something about the atmosphere in Fairhope and the people.
I keep saying it's as close to heaven as we're ever going to get here
Yeah,
on this
I think
earth.
so, dear. I think you're right. It just,
Yeah.
and the people, everybody's different, and you like different people. You don't want them all set in one way. They do one
That's
thing.
right. Variety is the spice of
They're
life.
very, there's varieties.
They're not the same and never have all been alike by any means. So.
No, it's
That's
great.
why they had a fight at a colony meeting, you know.
Because they're not all alike.
I learned to go, I had to take that class, you see, when I married Barbara, and they wanted me
Yeah.
to take it, so I'd learned something about it. And it was very interesting and a lot to learn.
Yeah.
That's true. Okay, well, thank you very much.